So we're going to work a little bit on our laser cutter today, and it's really cold outside. It's about 20 something degrees. So in here I have about 7.4 right now Celsius. So before I start working, I want to warm up my garage a little bit. I'm gonna use my split AC heat pump. Let's see, 68 should be good. Move this oil-filled heater out of the way. Check if my AC is working. Yeah, this is my split AC unit. Yeah, it works fine. So even at 20 degrees Fahrenheit, it works good. Heats up the garage pretty well. So let's wait till it heats up. For now, I'm gonna turn on my pump. It's filled with air. Here's my pump. It's pretty quiet. I mean, it's actually very quiet for the air compressor. This is California air. Alright, let's wait till it heats up a little bit. Right now, what is it? 44. Yeah, pretty cold. Alright, we'll come back later. So it's been about half an hour since I turned on my heat pump. It's pretty warm here right now. Let's just check the temperature.
Temperature inside is 48.
48.
Fahrenheit.
Doesn't seem to be much difference, but it's actually feels warmer. And this one shows 10 now degrees. So I'm gonna turn on my chiller to start the water pumping. And let's just check if there are any bubbles in the tube, because I haven't used this machine for a couple of days. Yeah, there's one in there. See it? I don't like it, but I don't think it's gonna affect it. It's been there for a while. What else? Yeah, it's good. That end I can't really see, but I usually have no issues. So my chiller now kicking on. It's just doing its, I guess, test cycle. Turns on the fans, and once it's done, the water right now is 8 degrees, as you can see. It does it for like a couple of minutes and then stops. So for heating because it gets cold, I don't want it to freeze. I have a small space heater inside, connected to the inverter controller. So if temperature goes below 5 degrees Celsius, this thing will turn on. I think it's pretty safe, so I mean I've been using it for the whole winter. So let's remove this thing and let's prep our machine for cutting. I'm going to be cutting 1/4-inch acrylics today for my 3D printer enclosure. Let's turn it on. Oops. Here we go. Resets. Everything is set now. Okay, so this is 24 by 24 1/4-inch or 6mm thick acrylic. I believe this is extruded, so it's not the best for cutting, but for my purposes it's fine. Cast is better than extruded for cutting. This is better for engraving actually, and it stinks more, a little bit more than cast acrylic. But this was cheaper. I got it at Johnson Plastics. So let's first do autofocus. Make sure my head is on the material. Yeah, good. Autofocus. And hit enter. It goes up, the switch gets activated, and it goes down. So now my offset is programmed to, I believe, 17 millimeters. And I need to adjust it for acrylic because I want to focus in the middle of the material. Right now it's focused on surface. As you can see, Z is 17 millimeters. So I'm going to move it down by 2. 1, 2. So it should be 15 now. Let's read. Yeah, it's 15. I found this is the optimum focus distance for the 1/4 inch acrylic. For 1/8 acrylic, I just go down by 1 millimeter to 16. But this is because I have 2.5 inch lens in there. For a 2-inch lens, it's going to be much closer. It's going to be about 8 to 7 millimeter from the surface. All right, let's load the file and adjust the piece so it cuts it perfectly. So I loaded file. This is top of my enclosure. This is the settings I use. I have a 60 watt laser tube. So I'm using 8 millimeter speed at 80% power. I have my blowing is yes, set to yes because I have a solenoid there valve. It will turn on by itself. Processing mode cut, everything else is by default. Click OK. I also want to make sure that my backlash reapply optimizer is checked. This actually helps with cutting circles. Okay, let's load it into the machine. So I click download. I just use any file, just one. It will say there's duplicate, yes. And it's now loaded into machine. So let's go into machine. Go to files. Oh, you hear that sound? My fans are making that sound when it's cold. Not the best quality fans that Boss provides, but that's okay. This is my file one. It is loaded. So let me move my head to starting position where I think it's going to be the best. Let's move it here. Okay, that's good. So I move it there, I click origin, press origin, and now I'm going to do frame. Okay, I got the error message. Y slope over. This means the cutting area is bigger than my capability of the laser because my head is moved a little bit down. So I'm going to move it up all the way. Let's cancel. So now let's see if it's okay. Now it should be fine. I moved it up. I'm going to reset origin again. And I'm going to do frame. Okay, and there it goes. Tracks my piece. Goes there, goes here. Good. Now there's one issue. I think it's gonna go over this frame. So as you can see, I already cut it pretty bad. So paint got burned. I don't like this. So maybe I'll put some foil underneath. So I added some foil here. Yeah, I can hear you screaming already. No, foil reflects the laser. Yes, it does actually. So it might burn a little bit masking tape underneath, but I'm willing to take the risk. In the future, I'm probably just gonna cut a piece of acrylic here just to protect the finish of the frame. Okay, so I placed the acrylic back, I traced the frame. Looks like it's fine. It might even not touch the foil. We'll see. Let's do this. First thing first, let's turn the air exhaust. So that's fan right here. I replaced the one that came with the laser. It was horrible. Just very noisy and pretty much gave the same CFM rating as this one. And it's venting outside. So let's see, my water pump is on, chiller, air compressor's on, pressure is at around 40 psi, which is good. It's gonna go down once I start cutting. I think we're ready. Let's do this. And start. Okay. And it's gonna cut. The holes first. I can see it's already cutting through because they're falling down, so this is perfect. Yeah, this is the part I was worrying about, so it's going very close to the foil. I don't think it's touching it. I'm also kind of afraid that it's gonna fold back when it's almost done cutting because there's, the back part is heavy, so it might just start lifting. But we'll see. And we're done. Let's turn off the air. The compressor is refilling. Yeah, you see this part lifted, but it's fine. It didn't fall. Looks like maybe it didn't cut through all the way. Yeah, no, it did. Oh, perfect. Look at this. Cut very nice, nothing stuck, just this one piece, but I can sure, yeah, I pushed it out. And let's see, it did not flash back from the foil. I don't think it touched it. Yeah. Very good. So this is how my machine works. I had it for almost a year. Let me show you what I did to it. So first thing, I replaced the fan. This is exhaust fan. This is 6-inch fan. The one that came with machine was a big Chinese, loud, horrible piece of crap. So I'm just using this flexible duct. It goes into the fan and then it goes outside. It smells a little bit here, but not too bad. I'm using also fan controller, so I can control the speed of the fan. Let's see right here. So sometimes if I'm engraving, I don't need to be blowing fully. So next thing that I did is I added this CW 5000 industrial chiller. Laser came with CW 3000, which wasn't really chiller, it was kind of just a passive cooler. So it would never cool water below ambient temperature. So basically it's unusable in summer when it's hot. Even if you have air conditioner, it's probably not a good idea to use it. So I replaced it with this. This is also a lot quieter because when temperature is below like 20 degrees, it never kicks on. So it's, as you can hear, it's almost silent. My next upgrade was air compressor. So machine came with a small aquarium air compressor, which was not enough for me to blow flames out, especially with 2.5-inch lens because it's a lot higher. So air was never reaching the workpiece. So I got this California air compressor. This thing is almost silent, as you probably heard before. Just really quiet. It's as quiet as my fan, which is also very quiet. So I think it's 5-gallon tank, so it kicks on when pressure drops a little bit. So let me show the system, how I set it up. So this compressor, I have the 1/4-inch hose going into my valve, air pressure valve, which also has a moisture drainer, because you don't want moisture getting into the machine. So it goes here, the adapter, quick release. I also added this thing to close the air flow if I need it. I never use it. On the next stand there's a quick release, quick push and connect with I believe this is 6mm OD outside diameter tube. Then it goes into this desiccant filter, so this also removes remaining moisture just in case. Finally I have this 6mm hose going into the solenoid valve right here. This thing is awesome. It connects. I connected it to the controller of the laser, so it automatically switches on the air. So right now it's switched off. You can hear no air flowing. But when I turn machine on, it will the valve, the electromagnet air will release the valve, and the air will go into machine. This thing is awesome. I just have Velcro holding it here. So as you can, this is the hose going into machine. So the only thing you have to do is when you're cutting in the RDO Works, you have to set is blowing to yes. That's it. Inside machine, I replaced a 2-inch lens with 2.5-inch lens. So this cone is compatible. It just has to be higher from the surface. A lot higher. So by default it was about 8mm. So with 2.5-inch it has to go up to like 16-15mm. This is because the lens sits about, I would say around here maybe. So this is the distance, focal distance from the lens to the material. What else? I aligned this thing once and that's it. It's just been like a rock. I haven't checked alignment, but I have no problem cutting, so I assume it's fine. I clean the mirrors sometimes, not that frequently. I probably should do it more frequently. I clean the lens more. But because of the good air pressure right now, I don't get any dirt on it, so probably need to clean it now. What else? The machine came with this honeycomb table, and I haven't used it once. I don't think it's really needed for what I'm doing. If you're cutting really small things, maybe engraving paper, it will be useful. Otherwise, it's not as straight as this knife table. I love this thing. So this is just a bunch of metal kind of knives. so you can take them out to clean, and they hold everything pretty perfectly. So small pieces just fall down there, and then I just open this and remove it into the trash. Let's do it right now. Unless I need to keep it, and I just take it out, obviously. Yeah, put it back in. Oh, there's some garbage there, I need to clean that up. Anyway, yeah. Love this machine, it's awesome. What else? So because it's winter, and this garage is unheated. I mean, I do have heat pump, but it's not always on. It doesn't have thermostat, unfortunately. So usually it might get below freezing. So for that I have two solutions. So one I showed you already. I have a small space heater, and Boss Laser actually recommends doing something like this. So you put this inside the machine, and I have it connected to this Inkbird controller. I think this is used for beer making, so it can heat or cool. It has two outlets. So you preset the temperature when you want to turn it on. For example, mine is set to 5. So if it gets below 5°C, it will turn on the heating part and it will turn on my thing. So it has a sensor right here, and I placed it somewhere near the laser. Yeah, basically the temperature sensor. So this kind of works, but I decided I wanted to do more, so I got this oil-filled radiator. These things are more or less safe, and this one actually, the Longi, it has this nice feature, freezer preventing, I guess. So if you set it to the star, it will only turn on if temperature drops below 40. So it doesn't use as much power. What else? I used to have an aquarium heater put into here, into the chiller. That was a really bad idea. I had some stuff growing. You can see my other video. Something like either growing, or I think it melted the plastic inside actually. Yeah, pretty bad. So don't use anything in the chiller. I just use distilled water, nothing else. No antifreeze, because I had some issues with antifreeze. It was arcing the tube inside. So I decided not to risk it. I'm just using distilled water, which I change every like couple of months. No issues so far. What else? I added this thing. I still need to figure out how to mount it better, because it's just hanging on the wires. Just basically a controller for my like my light, my blower, my compressor, and this is the Inkbird controller heater, and this is the blower. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So had this machine for a year, used it a lot to make fidget spinners. Had no issues so far, no major issues. Some minor things I had was that engraving, sometimes it doesn't engrave as clear as I wanted to, especially if you're doing the big piece across the whole surface. So like on in the beginning and the end it's clear, in the middle it's a little bit blurry. Still usable, but not the best. But I don't know if it's machine fault or maybe I just not using the right settings. So what else? I replaced the CO2 tube. So actually it came with a tube and was a misfiring. And Boss immediately sent me another one. When I received that one, it was damaged. So it was cracked inside. So I wrote to them and they sent me another one. So they sent me this tube, which actually I found has like tiny cracks, which I was worrying a little bit, but I mean, it's been working for almost a year and no issues. It had some dirt on the lens, so I wrote to them and they said, well, check if you have power drop or not. I checked, there was no power drop, so it's working fine. Overall good machine. I think I might upgrade CO2 from 60 to 100 watt. It will fit in there. I just need to replace the tube and power supply. So here's an example of me using the material pass-through door. So I took this door out, and now I'm able to fit material that's pretty large right here. So this is a pretty cool feature. This is it. This is my machine. So my garage, what I did in my garage actually, I replaced the door. I installed this vinyl tile flooring, which is awesome. I still need to put insulation in the walls. So I installed this split air conditioner, Mr. Cool, and also it heats up the space, but I mean, I'm not too crazy about it because there is no thermostat, so kind of I don't want to leave it on all the time. I wish I could just set, you know, preset temperature for heating and for cooling. It also does dehumidifying. Not a great job, so I got a separate dehumidifier here. Frigid air, which I'm not using in the winter because it's pretty dry. So this big garage door I have, I'm also trying to insulate, so I bought this insulation material, but you cannot just put it against the door. It kind of has to have some space, airspace between. So I'm using these foam. I bought the foam sheet and I'm cutting the strips. Then using double-sided tape, I attach them right like this. I mean, I did one section, I haven't done the other one because it's cold and this thing doesn't stick when it's cold. So you would attach these things and then you would put another more double-sided tape, and then I have a couple of rolls of this thing that I need to install. Hopefully it will help. I will probably need to adjust the spring because the door is gonna be heavier. So I need to call somebody to do that. Otherwise, yeah, I mean, it's a little bit messy, but sometimes I clean it up and it's fine. I still need to make some kind of material management so I can fit all my stuff, not just like this or like this. This is really bad for acrylic, it bends. You need to keep it flat. Alright, thanks for watching.